Everybody, we are back. This is Duke White, Coming Soon Jesus, News Media One.
Amen.
And I have the amazing privilege of introducing to you Bishop Mark Dorsey. What is going on, man
Amen.
of God?
Good to see you.
Now, here's the thing. A lot of people would say, well, where's his stuff on the kiosk? Where's his stuff? Where's his book? First of all, I'm putting it out there. The book is coming soon.
Coming.
It's coming soon. He's coming soon.
It's
All right,
coming.
so the reason why I wanted to have him on is because we've been doing Coming Soon Jesus for 15 years. And one of the dreams and goals that we wanted to do was be in the mainstream marketplace. However, every time an opportunity would come up, fear would stop me or something would stop me, some type of distraction, some type of issue would come up and distract me. Something would just cause me to be like, now's not the time, we can't do it. And in one message from Bishop Mark Dorsey, I realized that I had ran out of excuses, that fear was not a good excuse, and that I had to take it to the next level. And the reason why is because he started talking about believers taking territory. And I had heard it ministered in very spiritual formats before that were very comfortable to motivate you, and then you walk out and do absolutely nothing. I felt that, but the way you would break down taking territory is that God really called us to be the leaders, not just in the church, but in society.
Amen.
And so,
Absolutely.
First of all, I want to say thank you for that motivation,
Oh,
man.
man,
God.
you're welcome.
And next
You're
thing you know,
welcome, man.
he's
You're
going to have to
welcome.
teach me how to dress like that. He's trying.
Don't stop.
He gets
Stop.
around me and just like tries to influence me. But so let's start with, where does Bishop Mark Dorsey come from? What is your journey? How did you become
Wow.
Bishop Mark Dorsey?
How did I become Bishop Mark Dorsey? In a nutshell,
You got 5 minutes. No,
you know, I'm a military brat. My dad was a part of the military, career soldier. Was born in Europe, traveled. Mom and dad both from Baltimore. My dad's last duty station was Washington, D.C. So we came back to the Baltimore, Maryland area. My grandparents, my grandmothers were both Christian. They were
Right.
both born again. So I got an interesting dynamic of Pentecost and Catholicism,
Right,
because one was
right,
Catholic
yeah,
and
yeah.
one was right. And just growing up, Pastor, when I was little, I remember asking the question: there's got to be more to God than this, right? More than just what I was experiencing through the prayer and the songs. And I'm not saying that God wasn't moving, but I was like, God, you're vast, right? And then through through my formative years, through high school and college and all that, I was probably, well, even elementary school, I did my best to kind of get God to reject me.
Right.
Right.
If I do this, he won't love me anymore.
Right. I
Yeah.
just, I was just kind of out there because I always had a calculating mind. I always had an analytical mindset, but expressive at the same time, artistic. I was kind of a.
Did you know that there was a calling on your life at a young age? Or
Yeah, at a very young age, God dealt with me in dreams, and I remember probably being around 9 or so, coming to my mom and talking about all the people that I heard crying, the voices that I heard crying for help, the people that I saw, and I kept having this
Wow.
dream of people being in total darkness, and they were groping. I could see their hands trying to reach out, and they were crying and they were moaning, and I was telling my mother about it. And I was like, so what do we do with all the hungry people? And what do we do with all the naked people?
Wow.
What do we do with the people that are crying for help? And I mean, she did her best to answer me, but as I got older and accepted my call, she began to talk to me more about how she couldn't find an answer, but she knew that God had his hand on
Yeah,
me.
because most parents are like preparing their kids for the birds and the bees. You're
Yeah.
talking about how do we bring Christ to the world? Like what?
Yeah,
That's pretty amazing. That's actually
and,
a pretty amazing thing.
Yeah, so there was an expectation that I guess to go into corporate America to do something as a lawyer or something along those lines. I enjoyed sports, but there was this call, there was this pull, right, that always brought me back to the Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then one day I couldn't resist it.
Right.
Yeah. And I remember I was still relatively young, living in my parents' house. I was sitting in the den, I was talking to the Lord, and I was like, Lord, if this thing is real and you really want me to do this, I'm gonna need a sign.
Okay, so
And then, wait a minute, so literally, like 60 seconds later, the phone rings,
right.
and I pick up the phone, and it's a friend of mine from North Carolina, right? Because we were on summer break. And they say to me, dude, I'm tired of losing sleep. God told me to call you and tell you that it's real. This is a true story. This is a true story. And they hung up the phone, and that was it.
Well,
that was all it took.
No, that's seriously, that's the world we live in. So my question to you now is this. I've heard you speak many times, and you really do have a heart to bring correction and like an evolution to the church in America today. Is there somewhere where you're seeing like a breakdown in the modern church and society, or where is that coming from? Because like I remember seeing a panel of like preachers, and they were all ministering, and then you came and you were like, hey, we've got to bring it higher than this. And usually when there's a panel of ministers, people don't try to bring correction, but you let God actually bring correction to a panel of pastors that was there, and I was like, oh, that's scary. But you weren't afraid to let God use you, because I mean, a lot of people heard things that weren't right and stuff like that, but they didn't say anything. You called it out, which was very powerful, and I was just like, man, guys, he's out there like me. I like that.
Yeah.
And so, and it also seems like you have a real heart to like, really reestablish men in the church as well. So can you talk about that a little bit? Where did that come from?
Yeah, so I think one of the fundamental things that moves me in my service of the Lord is the fact that it's got to be relationship based, right? A covenant is a relationship, but it's not casual. There's a vow attached to this thing, right? And Jesus made a vow that was so profound that he died for it. Right? And then he sealed it, or he gave it life, or then he empowered it, right? So the first thing he did was pay the price. The price he paid was his life.
Right.
So he purchased it, right? But then he redeemed it, or he empowered it by getting up.
Yeah.
Right? So he resurrects, right? And then he bestows that on us, right? And I just believe that we spend so much time, trying to go through the traditions, and I don't want to. This is such a harsh word. The antics of church,
right? That
we don't understand relationship. We're missing relationship, right?
No, do your thing, man.
So you come home. It's just like being married but not renewing the romance. Right. After 30 years, you come home and you're starting to do the same things like a robot. It's all on automatic pilot.
So you think
but
this is
no
where people
revelation.
Getting frustrated?
Yeah,
because they've been in church for so long. It's like,
absolutely.
What do we do now?
And here's the piece. I think there's so many of us that are missing it. So many of us think that there's got to be more. So many of us think that there's an intimacy missing, that we think we're going to find it if we call ourselves something else. So we run out and we call ourselves prophet, evangelist, pastor, teacher, apostle, right? We go out and we try to start church, even though it's not our season to start church, because we're looking for something that Jesus provided once he got up from the grave, right?
Now listen,
my empowerment came because he got up, not because I'm a bishop,
right?
Not because I'm an apostle, but because I'm born again,
right?
The world was given to me because I was born again. So watch this. I was talking to the Lord not long ago, and he was like, you know what, Mark, it's not even about the garden. The garden is where you live, but the earth is where you're supposed to reign.
Right. I'm gonna sit back. You go
The
ahead.
garden is my house. The garden is where Adam lived, right? Eden was his front yard. But every day he was supposed to get up and run the world. The assignment of the church is to run the world. Woo. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof.
So you're saying that if you are a pastor and you're aiming at building a church, you're missing it.
The church is the building, right? That's the structure. The real church breathes, it lives, it moves, which means it has to grow. It has to expand. If it's alive, then it has to reproduce. If it's alive, it has to function.
Right.
Right? Unless it's paralytic, unless it's disabled, right?
Right. So you said disabled church. Woo.
I'm just
so,
saying.
Because there is a real reason why people are being affected, and so what is the solution to this? Like, how do we become like business, or are we? Because I know that's what you really did for me. Because I was prepared to say, hey, my vision is only allowed to go this far. And then you were like, no, it's supposed to be here, here, here. And I didn't even like see it like that because I never heard it like that. I didn't understand it like that. And then the next thing I know, walking on that faith level, it happened. And now we're here in one of the number one malls in Virginia, actually. You know what I mean? And so is it that we're afraid to step beyond the church into the business world, or what? Or are we not informed?
No, I think it's a combination of things. I think it is fear, but I think it's also ignorance. I don't think we have enough revelatory teaching. We got a lot of preaching. We got a lot of praise.
Right.
Praise is good to empower you, but if you don't have any discipleship, if you don't have any real mechanism to teach you on how to, and that's what revelation is.
Right.
That's what biblical teaching is. Discipleship is supposed to grow you up. Right. So I think it starts with us taking off the blinders just in our ability to worship and study the Word of God. Right. And in that, you're going to find a capacity to put fear down.
Wow.
Right. So the people of Israel came out of Egypt, but couldn't go into the promise because they were afraid.
Right.
Because of what was in their heart. Right. So the church experience is supposed to revitalize your heart. It's supposed to renew your passion for the Lord. While your heart's being renewed, your mind's being transformed. Right. And the practices that you learn on Sunday, you're supposed to carry out Monday through Saturday.
Right.
So when I go back out of the doors on Sunday, the conforming changes. I'm not conforming to the word, to the world rather. I'm conforming to what I learned on Sunday.
Right.
But if you're not learning anything on Sunday,
then what are you conforming
you
to?
have no transformation.
Right,
you have no right? There's no transformative power.
Good.
I can't transform because I didn't get anything on Sunday morning.
Right.
I got it.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. The whole thing is just, and I think that's one of the issues that we've become so focused on the celebration that we're not focused on.
And you and I talk about this all the time. I have nothing against the praise experience. I'm excited about the fact that I'm saved, that I'm born again, that I'm blessed.
Right.
I will dance and shout with the best of them. But at some point in time, when we fellowship on Sunday, I got to hear something that's going to change my existence. I got to hear something that's going to impact me so that I can go out into the world and not only change myself, but change the world. Right. That's and I think we missed that.
All right. Well, Bishop Mark Dorsey is going to be the feature pastor because it's really out of respect and honor. He's my bishop, and when we do our Meet the Pastor segment, he is actually going to be bringing you a word right here from God.
Amen.
We're going to have it set up. He's going to be bringing you a word from God, and we're just going to let him rip. But I wanted to give you guys the basic introduction. Listen.